Welcome to day 26 of our school year. Go ahead and get that shaded in. All right, so day 26 out of a total of 180 school days. So that's where that denominator comes from. It's our total amount of school days. So now we have to think, is our numerator prime or composite? Well, 26 is even, and the only even number that's prime is 2, so it's going to be composite. If you need to check, you can always look over here, and yes, it is composite. So that means we're going to have to do our prime factorization of both our numerator and our denominator. Let's see, I can take 5 groups because it ends in a 0 or 5, so I know 5 is a factor. I can get 3 groups of 5 out of 18 because 3 times 5 is 15, but I'm left with 3 groups of 10. 3 groups of 10 is 30. 6 times 5 is 30. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 is a multiple of 3, so I know 3 is a factor. I could get 1 group of 3 out of 3 and 2 groups of 3 out of 6. Okay, this is even, so I can divide by 2. Half of 12 is 6. Okay, again, half of 6 is 3. 3 is prime, so we are done there. 26 is even, so 2 is a factor. Half of 20 is 10. Half of 6 is 3. 13 is prime, so we are done. Let's list our prime factors from least to greatest. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. Our numerator is 2 times 13. So let's look for common numbers. I see 2. Now this has a digit of 3 in it, but we need the number 13. I don't see the number 13, I only see the number 3. If they have common digits, that doesn't work. It has to be common numbers. So it looks like 2 is our greatest common factor. That means our numerator is going to be 13. 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18, times 5 is 90. So our fraction is going to be 13/90ths. Let's go ahead and make our groups of 2. Does not matter what your groups of 2 look like, as long as there's 2 in each, and the shaded is not with the unshaded. Alright, so I have 5 groups of 2 in each row. To find my total amount of groups of 2, I can count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. I have a total of 90 groups of 2. And then I have 5, 10, 11, 12, 13 groups that are shaded in. Okay, now let's go ahead and do our division. With our algorithm, we did our division with our model, because remember, dividing is putting things into groups, equal groups. It can also be seen as repeated subtraction. Okay, so we have 26 divided by 2. We're using the same number. It has to be a common factor, and it always has to be the same. If it's not the same, then you can't do it. Because we made the whole thing groups of 2, we made it the shaded area groups of 2. We didn't do different groups. Okay, so let's divide 180 by 2. And then we'll do 26 divided by 2. Okay, 180. Well, I know 50 times 2 gives me 100. Numbers the same, zeros again, more on top, no need to stop. I'm going to bring my 80 up here. And let's try 40 times 2 is 80, because the placeholder just moves it over a place, and 4 times 2 is 8. Numbers the same, zeros again. Add our partial quotients. 50 plus 40 is 90. Okay, now down here, 10 times 2 is 20. More on top, no need to stop. Numbers the same, zeros again. And then 2 times 3 is 6. Numbers the same, zeros again. Add our partial quotients. 10 plus 3 is 13. Now we still need to check. We always check when we divide. Our divisor times our quotient plus our remainder. Divisor times our quotient plus our remainder. Now on both of them, our remainder is 0. Since it's 0, and the identity property of addition says when you add 0 it stays the same, we don't need to worry about it. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 90 is 180, or 18 tenths. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 10 is 20. So 26 matches my dividend here, check. 180 matches my dividend here, check. So that means 13 is definitely my numerator, and 90 is definitely my denominator. All right, let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. Okay, trimester 1, week 6. Today is 9, 13, 19, and our fraction for today is 13 90ths. Okay, let's go ahead and get out our number line. So we did groups of 2, our last group of 2, 11 90ths, so today is 12 90ths. So you have an equivalent fraction, I'm sorry, in 3s, 4s, 6s, but the lowest term equivalent fraction is 2/15, or the simplest form. And then today is 13 90ths. There's nothing below it, only numbers above it, because it is the simplest form, or our equivalent fraction in lowest terms. All right, go ahead and put your number line away, erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.